You're in violation. That's what my HOA president screamed while my wife was carrying boxes into our new house. Let me tell you, some folks just have a way of making you feel unwelcome before you even set your coffee mug down. And Megan Reed, she took that art form to Olympic levels. There was this look in her eye the minute she spotted us, like she'd been waiting all morning just to ruin someone's day. But nothing could have prepared me for the mess hiding behind her clipboard and that perfect Stepford smile, or for how fast our dream of homeownership would get hijacked by one woman's secrets. Name's Eric Stewart. My wife Chloe and I, after years hustling as a freelance app developer and socking away every spare dime, finally bought our first home in Willow Grove, a place that looked on the surface like something out of a real estate ad. White fences, freshly cut lawns, neighbor kids racing bikes down the street. For a minute there, I really thought we'd made it, like maybe, just maybe, the American dream was alive and well, at least on our little cul-de-sac. But you know how it goes. The moment you start to relax, life has a way of flipping the script. Our moving day started about as wholesome as it gets. September breeze, sunlight pouring down, birds having a field day, and me, well, I was tearing up watching Chloe carry a certain wooden box up the driveway. That box held her Afghanistan deployment photos and a bunch of medals, a little family time capsule, honestly. My own dad, a Vietnam vet, died when I was a kid, so military service runs deep for us. Trust me, that detail. It comes back to bite in a way I never expected. We'd barely been at it 3 hours when Megan Reed appeared like a specter from the HOA underworld, mid-50s hair that probably cost more than my monthly car payment, clipboard gripped like a weapon. She strutted up and first thing out of her mouth, "You're in violation." I was still juggling boxes, still trying to remember where I packed the coffee filters, and suddenly I'm getting read my Miranda rights over a stack of cardboard on the lawn. "Moving trucks can only block the street for 4 hours. She snapped, glancing at her watch like she was counting down to doomsday. "And those boxes, aesthetic disruption." I about laughed. Welcome home, right? But the weirdest part, when Megan saw that wooden box of Chloe's military stuff, she just froze. Her coffee mug actually trembled. "Afghanistan veterans, huh?" Her voice caught, and then she launched into a story about her late husband, Colonel Reed, 3 tours Distinguished Service Cross. But something about it didn't ring true, like she was reciting from a Wikipedia page she'd only half read. I tried being neighborly, told her my dad was Vietnam, but she kept mixing up medals and timelines. "Your father's Purple Heart from Afghanistan must mean a lot." I had to set her straight. Vietnam, not Afghanistan. She looked genuinely rattled, embarrassed, almost panicked. Should have trusted my gut right then. That's when Harold Mitchell shuffled over from across the street clutching a stack of papers. 68, former bank manager, one of those quiet types who sees everything but says little. "Welcome, Eric," he said before glancing at Megan. "Sorry to bother you first day, but these memorial fund records have been nagging at me." Turns out Megan had raised $18,000 for a Colonel Reed Memorial Garden. But all Harold could find were expense records for kitchen renovations, spa days, and Target runs. "Classic embezzlement," he said. "Cool as you like." Megan went ghost pale, but then pulled herself together, called Harold a disgruntled troublemaker, claimed the memorial was still in planning, and handed me a Plowers $125 moving violation fine for good measure. I hadn't even found my toothbrush yet. But I grew up in a house where honor wasn't just a word you threw around. Megan's dismissive attitude, those weird gaps in her military stories, Harold's documentation, all of it started making my skin crawl. This wasn't about HOA rules anymore. This was personal. That night, Chloe and I sat up late digging through HOA bylaws online. Turns out half the fines Megan was throwing at us weren't even legal. I got a tiny refund, but it was enough to prove she wasn't playing by the book. And that look on her face when she saw Chloe's Afghanistan photos, it was more than HOA drama. It was like she'd seen a ghost from a past she was desperate to keep buried. Next morning, Harold showed up again, more serious this time. She's been using her husband's story for sympathy and control for years, but I don't think she's telling the truth about how he died. What if I thought there's even more she's hiding? That question gnawed at me all day. Then, bam, my biggest client, a veteran service app called. Eric, we received troubling calls, something about domestic violence, instability, a neighbor concerned about your behavior, $15,000 in contracts just gone. Megan hadn't just targeted my family, she went after my livelihood using lies and fear to poison every well she could find. But here's the thing about scraping by: when you're used to struggle, you get good at fighting smart. I called every other client I had, explained the situation honestly. Most stuck by me, a few even expanded their contracts, said they respected my transparency. Integrity pays sometimes when you least expect it. But I wasn't done. Chloe, meanwhile, had our home office squared away with the kind of military efficiency that had put most CEOs to shame. I started digging into Megan's online footprint. Her social media was full of military jargon, but used all wrong, like she'd picked up lingo at random. Harold came by again, this time with years' worth of bank statements, 35 grand siphoned from HOA, and memorial funds paper trails leading to Megan's kitchen, her car, her favorite spa. She's even claiming federal widow's benefits, Harold said, which, if she's lying about her husband's service, is a federal crime. And Chloe pointed out nobody with real combat experience talks the way she does. It's all wrong. So I started installing security cameras, my dad always said. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And sure enough, 2 nights later, my phone lit up with a motion alert. There was Megan in our backyard, bolt cutters in hand, slicing our irrigation lines. Clear as day on camera. That changed everything. Now it wasn't just HOA nonsense, it was criminal property damage, a felony in our state. Police showed up, watched the footage, and immediately started writing up charges. Sheriff Ramirez handled things like a pro, calm, by the book, no drama. But the more we uncovered, the deeper the rot went. Harold's bank records, Chloe's military research, even neighbors started coming forward with their own stories, bogus fines, intimidation, community projects that never happened. All while Megan kept ramping up, patrolling our street, calling code enforcement, spreading rumors, trying to drive us out by any means necessary. Then Chloe found the final nail in the coffin: official military records. Colonel Reed wasn't a colonel at all. He was Corporal Reed, stateside supply, never deployed, killed in a training accident in Georgia, not Afghanistan. Megan's entire life story, her authority, her access to benefits, built on lies. One morning, Megan, desperate as ever, called in a false report, claimed Chloe was impersonating a veteran, accused us of stolen valor. Sheriff Ramirez showed up, asked to see our military items. Chloe calmly handed over her deployment papers, IDs, even her discharge certificate. The sheriff, who'd served in Afghanistan himself, recognized her name, saluted her on the spot, and there, in front of half the neighborhood, issued Megan a citation for false reporting and warned her she could face jail time if she kept it up. The look on Megan's face, let's just say it was a good day to own a security camera. News spread fast. Within days, our footage went viral, 500,000 views, veterans and military families flooding us with messages of support. The local news ran a piece exposing HOA corruption. Harold organized a community meeting, laid out all the evidence. Neighbors started sharing stories. Elderly folks who'd been scared into paying fines they didn't owe canceled projects, threats, and intimidation. Megan tried to fight back, hired a lawyer, posted wild explanations on Facebook, but the tide had turned. Even her lawyer quit after seeing the evidence. Then came the federal call: FBI Financial Crimes Unit. Agent Morgan. Megan had triggered a federal investigation into benefits fraud, embezzlement, and stolen valor. Federal agents showed up, boxed up every record from her house, and started preparing charges. Her assets were frozen, her accounts locked, and her reputation done for. 6 months later, Willow Grove looked nothing like the place we'd moved into. New HOA leadership, transparent budgets, military families honored, not harassed. My business was booming. Veteran families sent referrals, clients wanted to work with someone who'd stood up for the truth. Harold was elected HOA treasurer. Chloe got invited to speak at veterans events. And even the state used our story in training seminars about financial oversight and stolen valor. But then, because karma loves a curtain call, a letter showed up. Megan's handwriting. One line. You have no idea what you've really done. No threats. Just a confession the FBI later found drafts of in her seized files, a half-hearted apology to her husband's memory, admitting she'd turned his real sacrifice into lies for money and power. If that isn't the saddest kind of justice, I don't know what is. The real memorial, the one our community built after all this, bore Corporal Reed's true story. Not a colonel, not a combat hero, but a man who served honorably, who kept the wheels turning so others could come home safe. We honored him, Chloe, and every real veteran in our neighborhood. The woman who'd ruled through fear and lies. She moved away, her house sold to repay her debts. The neighborhood barbecue that summer was packed, veterans, families, neighbors trading stories, kids running free. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that ordinary people can take down systematic corruption. One bank statement, one security camera, one act of courage at a time. So tell me, would you have stood your ground or packed up and left? What do you think Megan's last secret really was? Drop your thoughts below, especially if you've got your own HOA nightmare or a story about someone who finally got what was coming. Smash that, like if you believe justice matters, and I'll see you next time because trust me, the stories just keep getting crazier.